Hey guys, welcome back. Hope everybody has had a good weekend. Uh, Mine was fairly busy. I had a festival I had to play at, and unfortunately, I had to miss Comic Book Memories. But I watched the replay, and my buddy Rod always does a bang up job. But I missed being there. Uh, Originally, I was going to be there, but they moved up the our time slot, and so I had to leave earlier to go set up. And it's like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes to get to where the gig was. So anyway, we had a covered stage, but still, if you stood out in the sun, 5 minutes, got kind of sunburned just a little bit, but it was a good show. I saw one of my old music buddies I hadn't seen in years, probably 13, 14 years, and had some cousins up there. It was good to see them, and had a lot of people coming over and telling us how much they enjoyed the show and all that. So it was a good day, and got to spend a little bit of time with my parents afterwards because they just lived about 20 minutes away from that. So it was kind of an exhausting day because of the heat, but good otherwise. And so anyway, I want to start a new series of videos, and I'm going to call this series complete. If I've got a series that I've completed or I've just completed, uh, I want to go ahead and do a video on those. And sometimes it might not be a whole series, it might be a run within a series that I've completed that I've been working on. So I'll either call it series complete or run complete, and I'll have the dates and the numbers and all that. So this is episode one. First one I want to do is on one of my favorite series, just recently completed a few months ago, is Amazing Adventures. And I'm sure most of you guys that tune in here remember this title and or have it or most of it or some of it. I don't know. But just it's just a fun little book, and for the most part, other than a few issues, it's not going to cost a whole lot of bucks to collect. I always love these little double feature books. I know my partner Rod does also, and it's just Bronze Age at its best, and it's like a who's who of great writers and artists in this. So we'll just kind of get started. This is issue number one. We got a double feature. We got the Inhumans, of course, by Jack Kirby. This is a cover by Kirby and John Romita. Kirby does the scripts on the Inhumans, and him and Chick Stone do the art. And on the second feature, we got Gary Friedrich on the scripts, and John Buscema and John Verpoorten. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. So, issue number one, some good stuff. I always like the little price box there. Pretty neat. And we have issue number two. More of the same. Got Black Widow on the top this time. And this is another Buscema cover with Mr. Verpoorten on the inks. And as always, got Kirby and Chick Stone on the scripts and art. And Friedrich Buscema and Mr. Verpoorten on the second feature. Number three, it's a great cover by John Buscema. And we're just going to call him Verpy from now on because I hate saying that name. It sounds like the Swedish chef on the Muppets. Remember that? Verpoorten, put the cheeky in the party. So we'll just call him Verpy. How's that? So another good one there. Number four, more of the same. Trying to get that where it doesn't. Either you're in shadow or you're in the glare. I don't know what the deal is here. But more Buscema and Verpy on it, and Kirby and Chick Stone on the Inhumans, and more Friedrich, Buscema, and Verpy on Black Widow. And here's another lower grade copy of number four. Must have been the first one I had. It's a little beat up, but still complete. Number five, another great cover. I think this is Buscema on the cover. And I think this is the first issue with Neal Adams art. I think Roy Thomas did the scripts, and Adams and Tom Palmer did the inks. or Adams did the art and Palmer did the inks, and then got Gene Colan doing the Black Widow. I think Colan actually did the Black Widow in the last issue too. So number 6, great Neal Adams cover. And you got more Adams art. And Roy Thomas on the scripts on the Inhumans. And Roy Thomas did the scripts on the Black Widow feature, and Don Heck, I think, actually did the art with Buscema on the inks in the backup feature. I always like this cover. This is a really nice, kind of in-your-face Neal Adams. I'm trying to get it where it won't glare there. We got Jerry Conway on the scripts on the Inhumans feature, more Adams and Verpy, and more Thomas Heck and Sal Buscema on the Black Widow. And here's another copy of that one. I guess I don't know if I was trying to upgrade it or I just ended up with 2 copies. I think I just ended up with 2 copies because most of these are pretty nice. Okay. Yeah, I can tell this is the first copy. It's a little beat up, but you got another great Neal Adams cover there with Inhumans. And I think Thor and maybe the Avengers guest star in this one. And I think this story, the plot actually crosses over with Avengers 95. I'm not mistaken. So, but here's a better copy of that one. Okay, number 9. Another great cover there, part of my beloved picture frame cover run that I'm trying to collect. I think that's Buscema and Joe Sennett on the cover. And you got Jerry Conway on the scripts on the Inhumans, and you got Mike Sekowsky, our old Justice League artist, with Bill Everett on the art. I think around this time is when, pretty sure this is around the time that the X-Men were in reprints. And so I think Magneto crossed over like with the Inhumans, Avengers, Defenders, Fantastic Four as one of their villains. You know, I guess just kind of keep their toe in the water as far as the X-Men was concerned, or some of their villains. So, interesting factoid there. Or maybe not, I don't know. Number 10, Gil Kane on the membrane, and this one, right, Higgy and John? That's a cool cover. Yeah, I think Mike Sekowsky did some more art on this with Frank Giacoia on the inks. And I think we got a reprint of the origin of the Inhumans from Thor 146 in this too. And there's another beat up copy of that one for good measure. A little bit of stress on the spine. And I guess probably one of the most famous covers or famous issues in this was the appearance of the first furry beast with number 11. This is Gil Kane and Bill Everett on the cover. So, you know, nice little midstream change. Got another X-Men character going on there. And I think Jerry Conway did the scripts, had Tom Sutton and Sid Shores on the art. And it's got like a little, like a brief X-Men appearance in here. And I know everyone knows this cover. I think this has been used more than once. I think they used this on an Avengers issues too. This is Amazing Adventures number 12. Oh no, he's killed Iron Man. Another Gil Kane, Joe Sennett cover. Steve Englehart on the scripts, and Tom Sutton and Mike Plug on the art. And just for good measure, here's another one. At this point, I'm kind of sorry, and I regret not writing down where and when I did the purchases or who I purchased them from, because it would be kind of interesting just for me to know who I got these books from and maybe how much I paid for them. So it's lost to the ages. Here we got another great picture frame cover. You got the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants with the Blob, Eunice, and Mastermind. This is number 13. More John Romita on the cover. More Sutton and Giacoya art. Say Steve Englehart scripts on this. And number 14. Behind the Mask, a Monster. More Gil Kane and Jim Mooney on the inks on this one. Englehart, Sutton, and Jim Mooney scripts and art. This is one of my favorite covers. One of my favorite oddball C, B, or D list characters, as Rod and I like to say. Amazing Adventures number 15, the first appearance of the Griffin. You guys remember him? Got Jim Starlin on the cover, Joe Sennett. More Sutton art. I think John Tarleone was on the inks in this one. I think a lot of times he just wrote his name as John Tartag and left the Leone off of it. And here we got another copy of 15. And number 16 going up against the Juggernaut. Pretty cool little cover. I think it's a Starlin Giacoy cover. The art is by Marie Severin and Bob Brown with Frank McLaughlin on the inks. And I'm pretty sure, I think unbeknownst to management at Marvel and DC, this was one of the first official Rutland, Vermont Halloween crossovers with DC Comics. You see like Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and the Avengers down there. But I think this is this crosses over with Justice League of America 103 and our buddy Dr. Von Chilla's beloved Thor 207, which I am happy to have a copy of that in my collection that the good doctor gifted me and several others over the years. But if you want just a little, interesting factoid, they were trying to slip one under the rug on them, and I think they did for the most part. But this, like I say, this and Justice League 103, and I think Phantom Stranger guest stars in that one, and Thor 207 is all part of the Rutland, Vermont Halloween crossover. I think later on they did like another crossover with the Freedom Fighters and the Invaders, and a version of the Crusaders that DC had. So pretty interesting if you want to search those out. Thought it was kind of fun. And I'm not big on those little details or factoids, and I don't like it. This is number 17. I think this is the last one to feature the Beast. And I think we've got some reprints in here. I think they're like originally backups in the X-Men that kind of tell his origin. And you got like just a few pages of new art. But I think this is Jim Starlin on the cover. I do believe. And I think you got Starlin on the scripts, maybe. No, I think it's Steve Englehart. And you got Starlin Esposito on the new art. Okay. And I can tell this is my first copy of this one. Changes over to Amazing Adventures featuring War of the Worlds, based on the concepts created in the prophetic novel by H.G. Wells with Killraven. Great John Romita cover. Got a lot of great Neil Adams and Howard Chaykin art. I think Adams does half of it, and Howard Chaykin does the other half on this, I do believe. So, and I think the inks. I think Jerry Conway did the scripts, and I think Frank. I don't know if I remember how to pronounce his last name, Chiaramonte. Yes. So we'll just call him that on the inks. And here's a better copy. Sometimes you just got to get a better copy, right? And from 18 on through to the end, to issue 39, it's all about Killraven and the World of Worlds. So, but actually, and a lot of people don't really pay attention to the last half of this series, but it's actually really, really good. Got a lot of great scripts, a lot of art, just a sci-fi sword, almost maybe sword and sorcery type thing, but pretty neat stuff. Here's number 19. I would like to upgrade this one at some point because it's a little rough. But more Killraven here. Get it. You got Herb Trimpe on the cover with some John Romita inks and Esposito too. Jerry Conway did the scripts, Chaykin and Frank McLaughlin on the art. And Frank McLaughlin, you'll know, is I think he was either creator or co-creator of Judo Master, and also was longtime inker of Dick Dillon on Justice League of America. And got another great cover. Here's number 20. By Herb Trimpe, one of my favorites. And got Marv Wolfman on the scripts. Herb Trimpe and Frank Giacoia on the art. Yeah, it's just awesome, classic sci-fi, Bronze Age stuff. Fun. And here's number 21. Another cover by Herb Trimpe. And I think this starts a long run on the script-wise, anyway, of Don McGregor doing the scripts. And we got more Trimpe on the interior art. And even more Trimpe on another copy of this. Looks like my original. You can tell. They're well loved. Sorry about the glare, folks. It's just the lighting is really bad on here. I got 2 or 3 different lighting sources, and then still got light from the outside. That's why you're getting the glare from here. So apologize for that. Number 22, nice little cover. Slaves of the Human Squid. So this was Squidward's grandpappy, I guess. I don't know. More Trimpe on the cover. Trimpe and Chiaramonte art on the interior. And I'm not sure who did this. Nice cover. I love the colors and the action. It might be Gil Kane. 23. Actually, I think it's Herb Trimpe. And more art on the interior, I think, by Trimpe and Mr. Chiaramonte. So, number 24, Death is the High Overlord, New Year's Nightmare 2019 AD, with a cover by Rich Buckler and Klaus Janson. And more art by Herb Trimpe and Jack Abel. And I think there's a Ditko reprint, maybe a little short 4 to 6 pager in the back from some of the Atlas age of comics, I guess. Number 25. I think my wife's in there with a vacuum cleaner. Not sure about this one. This another great action-packed cover. It's Gil Kane. More Buckler and Janson art. And got a reprint, I think, on the inside by Bill Everett from the 50s. Number 26. This is definitely John Romita on the cover. Bloodbath at Battle Creek, where a treasure of death is guarded by startling Stun Rage or Stun Rage the Vigilant. That is definitely 1970s for sure. I think the art in here is by Gene Colan and Dan Adkins. And I think you got a reprint from the old Astonishing title from the 50s and 60s. Another copy, a little bit better grade, I think. And this is one of my favorite covers. This is all Jim Starlin right here, number 27. Day of the Death Breeders. And I think you got some P. Craig Russell art with Jack Abel on the inside. And I think there's a like a little 3-page reprint of like a little sci-fi tale in the back of this also. So I think they were getting into some cost savings there. Like, well, don't have enough script and story for a full-length tale, so we'll just dump a reprint in there. Here's number 28, another great P. Craig Russell cover. This is probably my first one because it's got a marker through it and a little bit beat up, but not bad. Pretty good stuff there. And I think Mr. Russell did the art on the inside too. And there's another copy, a little bit better. And this one might even be a little bit better than that. No, I think this one is worse. So anyway, 3 copies of this one. I'm sure when Eric Kay watches this, if he does, he'll say something about the multiple copy sickness. It is a real thing. Amazing Adventures 29. Fury in a Far-Flung Future. Say that 10 times real fast. Havoc is the Hell Slayers. It's Gil Kane and Russell on the cover. Or P. Craig Russell on the interiors. Another Craig Russell cover, number 30. And I think we got P. Craig Russell and Dan Adkins on the interior art. And I think just this maybe 5 or 6 pages of new art, and then they reprint some stuff from number 23 and 24. I think that was Herb Trimpe and Jack Abel on the art. So, like another cost-cutting issue. I got another one, so I really didn't cut costs there, did I? Okay, number 31, another P. Craig Russell sci-fi classic right there. I think that's Russell and John Romita on the inks. More McGregor and Russell on the interiors. Liked it so much I got 2 of them. Number 32, Monster of the Mind Machine. Welcome to your dreams, Killraven. Welcome to your death. They're always so melodramatic. Number 33, The Siren Song of Death. John Romita and P. Craig Russell on the cover. I think it's still P. Craig Russell on the art in this one. No, I'm sorry. According to my notes, it's Herb Trimpe and D. Bruce Berry, longtime Jack Kirby inker. This is number 34. More P. Craig Russell. #35, The Threat of the 24-Hour Man. Seems to me I remember like a DC villain called the 24 Hour Man. I think it was in a Flash 100 pager, like 232. I think it was called Death Rattle of the 24 Hour Man. I don't think they're any relation, but still a cool cover. I was actually in a band once. It was called the 25th Hour. Don't ask me. I don't know. But anyway, number 35. I think we got some Keith Giffen and Jack Abel art in. I think P. Craig Russell did the layouts. So, and this is probably my first copy of this, as you can tell. But I put them in bags anyway. You know. Number 36. Another PCR cover. Today the world ends. Krill Raven with your death. Legacy of the Lost. Got a lot of cool covers on that one. Colors, I should say. I think Craig Russell did the layouts and Sonny Trinidad did the finished art and the inks. Number 37. Another PCR masterpiece on that one. And this is a good cover. Keith Pollard did this one. I guess you got a few little cameos here. Inhumans, Avengers, Fantastic Four, Black Panther, Daredevil, Doctor Strange, Iron Fist. And they all look like they've got turned into vampires or monsters. Monsters, that is. Yeah, I think, this was the last one. This one, number 2, is the last two I had to acquire to complete this one. So, happy to get this one. Number 38. I think Marie Severin did some alterations on the cover. I guess they wanted it to look like the Marvel style, so she probably redid some of the faces or something. I think about the same way they did Jack Kirby when he did Jimmy Olsen when they were doing the Superman faces. They had Murphy Anderson or some other people come in and like redo the faces so it would look like the DC style. So anyway, I think you had a plethora of people working on this one. I think Keith Giffen and Bill Mantlo did the scripts. The art was by Giffen and Al Milgrom. So 38. And last but not least, they stand alone in Earth's darkest hour, the final glory, the last issue and the last chapter of War of the Worlds. Got the big Free Earth sign there. Another P. Craig Russell masterpiece. So fun stuff. Like I say, for the most part, you can track most of these down, especially the World issues on the cheap. So a lot of times you'll find them in dollar boxes. So good little series to search out. Got some cool first appearances, Furry Beast, and got the Griffin. You can't forget the Griffin. And I think this is probably my original. It's a little beat up there, but not bad. Anyway, guys, I enjoyed this. Hoping I can make this a semi-regular thing when I have time. So I'll be trying to bring you some more stuff where I complete runs or series. And I hope you've enjoyed this and appreciate all your comments. Any questions or, hey, you know me, I'll talk comics all day long. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your night and have a good week. Onward and upward.